you've been older woman for 20 years almost?
18 years.
18 years?
Right?
Yes,
Right?
that's correct.
Almost every month, major scandals emerges from city of Chicago. Number of city officials been convicted for corruption charges. For instance, this morning I read in Sun Times, son of Michael Theron, the former truck scandal kingpin, his son was accused of stealing water from Chicago water system from fire hydrant without a permit and without a device that prevent
Contamination.
the debris, construction debris, and it contaminate the Chicago water system. That's just one example. City of Chicago has not only allowed fake minority contractors, but numerous other inside deals that drew no real vocal, substantial opposition from city council. And there are several other cases. My question to you, why are you not running for the mayor?
I'm. Are you suggesting that there's another office that I should run for?
You should run for the mayor.
I think so, yeah.
City
That
of
sounds
Chicago
like
needs
he's asking.
more, whatever you say about
Oversight.
Cook County. Cook County has less corruption than City of Chicago. That's a
You
known
and I
fact.
disagree about that, but that's beside the point. Look, the job of county government is critically important to the people of Chicago and the people of the county, whether they realize it or not. The county is responsible for our healthcare system, our public healthcare system, that is our public hospitals and our public clinics, and our criminal justice system. And for any community to function well, it has to have good health care, and it has to have people have to have confidence in their safety, and that means you need a criminal justice system that operates well. One of the things that happened right after Todd Stroger became president of the county board is that he was faced with a financial crisis, and what they did was cut substantially the public clinics, the public primary care clinics that serve the people of Cook County. That was the way, basically, in which they saved a tremendous amount of money. But this was penny wise and pound foolish. It's really important for people to have primary care, for you to be able to go to a neighborhood clinic and get shots for your kids, immunizations, for you to be able to go to neighborhood clinics and have earaches taken care of and sore throats taken care of, and to get mammograms and to get other kinds of health screenings. And the way in which they decided to save money was to cut primary care. This was a terrible mistake. Now, it's really important that we run our healthcare system well, and there's now presently in place a temporary, it has a 3-year lifespan, independent governing board. I think it's important to make that governing board permanent, to separate the patronage hiring and the political corruption that has plagued our healthcare system, and let the professionals manage that system with the county board.
Well, my question was about the corruption.
Let me finish, please.
Right.
Approving their budget every year. So if we can keep our healthcare system professionally operated and separated from the influence of patronage and corruption, I think we're in good shape. On the criminal justice side, we clearly need to have a better connection between the public defender, the state's attorney, the sheriff, the chief judge, those actors that are critical to the well-functioning of the system. We need to figure out how we're going to reduce our jail population, which is 9,000 or 10,000 people on any given day. And we're in constant trouble with the federal government for overcrowding in our jails. So we need to figure out how we're going to decrease that population, and there are 2 ways in which you can do it. One, you keep people out of jail who have not yet been tried or convicted for nonviolent offenses. Sheriff Dart has a small program, and that program enables people to report to the jail for the day but not stay there overnight, so that we only feed them lunch. We don't have to feed them breakfast and dinner. And they work on their addiction. Just about everybody who comes into the jail has a substance abuse problem, whether they're there for a drug offense or not. And after they are clean and sober, and if they don't stay clean and sober, they go back to the jail, they're given an opportunity for more education or employment training. And at the back end, after people are convicted or sentenced, they need to be in electronic monitoring if they're nonviolent offenders, or sentenced to drug treatment, or sentenced to boot camp, to various alternatives that will help them lead more productive lives.
Well, you already answered
hold them in jail.
my question. My next question about healthcare and criminal justice system. Thank you for giving answer in advance. But I go back to the corruption point, and I will add the sales tax issue also. nobody likes the county sale tax, of course, but still, if you look at, if you compare the county, Cook County fiscally is in a lot better shape than city of Chicago and even the state.
Well,
So
here's-
what
I
do you
think-
say about the corruption comparison in city of Chicago and Cook County?
Well, here's
And I'm
the-
not defending Cook County, I'm just telling you that this is what the facts and figures are.
Well, I
And
think-
being
I
an
think we have-
alderwoman, I would like to know what have you done.
I think this is a state, unfortunately, at all levels, where there has been historically a high tolerance for patronage and for bad acts of various
That's
kinds.
unfortunate,
If you look at Illinois, I mean,
Shackman
if you look at
Shackman
Illinois
is one of
compared
the
to
example, yeah.
other states, we unfortunately have a kind of shrug it off and snicker about it rather than being outraged when it comes to abuses of the public trust. And one of the most important jobs I think that you have as an elected official is to try to show to people that you are going to try to play fair, you're going to try to level the playing field, you're going to give everybody an opportunity to work for the county and not just people who are connected to a handful of political organizations. So you're going to open up the county, open up employment to people all across the county instead of a select few. You're going to make things more transparent. You're going to put the budget online. You're going to
How would you
make
do that, though, with the budget?
proceedings of the county board available to people.
And what can you
there are
do
a
to bring
variety
new
of things-
businesses and industries and jobs to the
Sure.
county?
Well, one of the things I think we have to do is reduce the sales tax. And I have said that over the 4-year period, I would reduce the 1% increase in the sales tax back down to 75 cents on the 75 cents out of $100 rather than, I'm sorry, 0.75% rather than 1.75%.
Why didn't you bring this thing in the city of Chicago and city council?
Well, the
for the
most
tax
recent, the
cities
most
in?
recent tremendous increase in the sales tax was not by the city, it was by the county, and that was a little more than a year ago when they voted to raise the sales tax another 1%. And I think we have to take that down, because what it did was increase the sales taxes, the total sales taxes that people have to pay in Cook County, to more than 10%. And I think that's a threshold that is very difficult for working families. It's
Right.
very hard for working families, and it's very hard for our businesses as well. So one of the things we have to do is take down that 1% increase in sales tax. And the way we have to do it, I think, is in increments over time, so that you can reduce expenses at the same time that you're reducing revenues.
But at the same time, there's so many, would you say that there's also inefficient programs at the county level that need to be cut? And if you do feel that way, what would you do? Because clearly rolling the tax back, that percentage is not going to cover all the other problems and all the other expenses that the county has. So where would you make the cuts that a county board president is going to have to make in this position? At which departments and which jobs?
Well, I think that's very difficult to determine in advance, partly because the county government is not very transparent. And what's been suggested to me by the folks that we've had, our research policy people that we've had look at county government, is you go there basically with a blank sheet of paper. The county has been making its budgets up on the basis of previous budgets, not on the basis of previous actual income and expenses, so that's one problem. And then I think you have to go to department by department through county government and say, okay, what's your mission? How many people do you have?
Mm-hmm.
What are you?
Isn't that
what
what
are you?
Todd
Just a second,
Stroger
what
said
are you?
he
What
did?
What are you trying to accomplish? And basically make people prove up the necessity of the work that they're doing. And I think that what we'd find is that there are departments in which there are considerably more staff than we actually need to do the job, and there need to be some staff cuts. And I also think we need to look at county contracting to see if there are ways in which we can be more efficient in securing vendors and materials that the county needs. So my view is that there's an opportunity on the personnel side, and there's an opportunity on the materials side.
Yeah, well, the question is, maybe you could talk about the approach, because the question is, can you show the training movie to different Muslim community and get the feedback to make it more practical? Now, you actually involved the community in this, and the follow-up was, I hope it's not like the training video used by NYPD FBI, and others where they got people outside the community to tell them how to deal with
Yeah.
us.
I know.
And if you can
That's why,
tell
you know,
how you did your approach differently.
Yeah, and it was so interesting because for me, that's why, once again, I cannot thank the advisory committee enough. You folks did so much work. You did like all of it. I was basically just left to sign my name to different things. At the heart of it, though, with the video, I wanted you to develop the video, not me, because the whole point of it was to get the input from the community, not for me to tell the community what you need and here's how it goes, but the opposite. And in the end of the day, I feel the video is really good. It was developed completely in concert with the committee, the advisory group, and if somebody has suggestions how to tweak it and turn it, you know, no one claims to be perfect around this place. Be happy to do that. So anybody who wants to view it, please do it. But it was really sincerely driven by the notion that we want everybody. We want people to be very aware of where our office stands and here's what the criminal justice system is about, here's how we view it, and really to have it really straightforward. So once again, if there is any changes people want, we're always willing to go back to the studio, which is my conference room, to redo elements of it. But we feel pretty good because it wasn't driven by us. We were sort of in the back seat. We were letting the committee really drive this one.
In Cook County, taxes upon taxes upon taxes, you know, it's where it's going to end. A lot of suburbs, northwestern suburbs, are planning to move out of Cook County. Palatine is one of them, and they probably form a new, some new county or something.
Correct. Reagan County or
Reagan
Lincoln
County, right?
they're
Or
talking.
they might merge in the Lake County.
That's right.
So I know that we all know that you battled hard, you fought hard against the tax increases.
Right.
And you had a group of about 8 or 9 commissioners.
Right.
What went wrong? Why did you fail
Well,
there?
yeah, partisan politics got involved and permeated the system, and unfortunately, some of the Republicans were vying and jockeying for position, and were trying to. They weren't happy with my high-level advocacy on behalf of county taxpayers. Even some of the Republicans on the county board wanted to keep everything hush-hush. They wanted to keep that combine protected so they can go on doing everything they've been doing with impunity all along. And you know, with the work that Claypool and I did and others on that board, we shone the spotlight on some of the nonsense and corruption and nepotism and patronage and just criminal activity that went on under the administration of John Stroger, and some of it is still being tolerated under the administration of Todd Stroger. And I believe that we need to go back to that bipartisan approach. I am introducing now an ordinance at the next county board meeting on July 22nd to roll back the 1% sales tax. And I'm pleased to say that we have Quigley and Claypool, Commissioners Quigley and Claypool, joining me in that effort, as well as the 4 Republicans. So we have 7 members together so far on that effort. And we're going to try to get that 9, the magic number, which is 9, to get 9 votes to get that majority, so that we can give some tax relief to the taxpayers of Cook County who are losing their homes to foreclosures, who are going bankrupt, who are getting divorced, who are getting involved in criminal activity because they can't afford to feed their families and pay their mortgages anymore. It's a very desperate situation.
So we still have some hope.
Oh, there's always hope.
Okay,
We're going to audit the books and lock up the crooks, and we're going to lower these taxes.
great. Chicago cops, are
Yes.
they going wild? I
Yeah.
mean, there are several cases about off-duty officers beating the people and
Right.
racial profiling and discrimination.
Well, it's important to know, Salman, that out of 14,000 or so police officers in the city of Chicago.
But you know, 99% of them are good, hardworking, honest
Absolutely.
people.
That's exactly
It's just
what I was
less
going
than
to say.
1%, you
Right.
know, which
That's correct.
basically giving bad name to the Chicago Police Department.
We have 14,000 members of the Chicago Police Department. We have 7,000 members of the, I think I have a fly here, of the Sheriff's Office. So between the Cook County Sheriff and the Chicago Police Department, we're talking about, 23,000 police officers and correctional officers. That's a big force. You know, that's almost the 3 divisions, right? So he's a military guy here. So, you know, and you're absolutely right. 99% are fine men and women. But We all remember, for example, Lieutenant Burge situation where 200 African American citizens in Cook County were tortured into confessing to crimes that they didn't commit. And now, you know, as taxpayers, we're going to have to pay a couple $100 million in legal fees and settlements and judgments to people who spent 20, 30 years, in some cases on death row, because they were beaten into confessing to crimes that they didn't commit. And all this was covered up for 20 years until the statute of limitation expired, and now nobody's being held accountable. It's a travesty, really. And then you have Officer Medzanowski, who was sticking up drug dealers, cocaine and heroin dealers, were stealing their drugs, and a police officer and his compatriots were selling drugs on the street for personal profit. Then you have the officer Ardeleon, who was driving drunk off duty last Thanksgiving, who killed 2 young Hispanic males and was charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor negligent driving, and a judge dismissed those charges, and he walked away with nothing. If there was any of us here who was involved in a DUI accident with 2 fatalities, we would be looking at involuntary manslaughter charges and 20 years in jail, and here's a person who took 2 lives and walked away like nothing happened. So there is a dual system of justice, and the prosecutorial discretion is abused in Cook County based on political considerations. You know, who are you connected with, what part of town you come from, what political organization you belong to.
So there's a need for Sheckman.
There's a need for a Cook, because